This Bleach green deck revolves around swarming the boards with nothing but 13 court guards. Is it good? Is it bad? Well, let's talk about it. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Mobby here, and we're gonna go ahead and talk about my full deck list for this 13 court card green deck. We'll talk about every single card, then at the end of the episode, I'll let you know if I think this is a good or bad deck. Make sure to like and subscribe, it really helps out the channel. I upload daily deck profiles and duels for a lot of anime TCGs. Alright, so let's get started. These are the current action points that I'm using. So this deck, as mentioned, it's all about 13 court guards, and it revolves around Hitsugaya, Kenpachi, and Unohana. So let's begin, and in this one, I'm running 12 zero-cost cards in here. And the reason why I'm doing this is because this deck revolves around having as many of these on the board as possible. In fact, you need 6 of them to activate for your 7th ability, which is a summon ability. So we'll go ahead and talk about that when we get to it. But here we go. This is Hitsugaya Toshiro, and this is one of the 2 of the raid card sources in this deck. So add to your hand, 1500, 1 energy, really basic, just a really decent, raid source card. For the next raid source card, we have Retsu Unohana, and of course, every single character in this deck is going to be 13 court guard. So this is the same thing as this one. It's a raid source, so it's a nice basic 1500, and add to your hand. Next off, we have our Rangiku Matsumotos. We're using these to be able to, have more stuff on the board and be a little bit more flexible with the way that things go. So if you have a lot of early game stuff already, you don't really need this in the back line, so you can go ahead and throw it to the front line until you need it for your energy, which is why this has steps. So 2000 power with steps. So there you go. Those are our 12 zero-cost cards. Now we're moving on to a 2 cost, and this is a little experimental. We don't have any of the 1 cost because that one, if you get the 1 cost with the 2 energy generation, that makes it so you bounce stuff back to your hand. And with this deck, you want to have as many characters on the board as possible. So we're skipping those, and we're going for 4 other sort of generating cards here. So this is Izuru Kira. So if this character is active 1 generation, so 1 generation when you summon it because it is rested, and then later on you do this. So this card is going to stay in the backline throughout the whole game for the most part. Next off, we have our 4 colors of the deck. This is another Toshiro Hitsugaya, which is another raid source card. 2 energy, 1 action. If 6 or more other 13 court guard squads affinity are on your field, this character gains 500. So this has to be the 7th card, and then the other ones all have to be 13 this one, which, if you have multiple of these, they also count, so that's not a problem. But there needs to be 6 others, and then he gets a little buff here, which is only plus 500. It isn't a lot. However, you need a 6 or more. That is quite a lot on the field, because if you guys think about it, there's only 8 total slots on the field, 4 in the front line, 4 in the back line. So this one has to be the 7th on the field. It's pretty hard to pull off just for a small eager plus 500. The color is play 1 green character with 2 or less energy and 1 AP from your hand active on the field. So the trigger is pretty good because you're able to put it from the front line or the back line, and every single one of these is a target for that. This would probably be the best one in the back line, or maybe your Rangiku's in the front for step. So there you go. Next off, we have another Retsu Unohana, that's the other raid source card. So nothing special here, it's just 13 court, 2 action. You're most likely to be playing this in the front line. When played, draw a card. So you always like to see that. Drawing a card, being able to just, have options is really good. Now for your other 2+ energy in the deck, this is Sajin, how do you say this? Komamura. Okay, 3 energy. So this one has step, which is kind of cool, which means you can throw in the front line, put it to the back line when you need to. When attacking, choose another 13 court guard squad. It gains 500 until the end of the turn. Decent effect. Now, what's cool is it can pick itself too. It doesn't have to be others. So this is essentially a 3500 with 2 energy, and the trigger is really good. Set 1 character to active, give it 3000. You always like to see that. So this is a really good solid card for this archetype. Next off, we have your 4 finals of the deck. Bankai, switch 2 AP up, and final, if this is the last card, you get to heal 1 Bankai. Next off, we have our late game cards, and there's a good amount in here. So the first one here is Kenpachi Zaraki. So in this deck, Kenpachi does not have any sort of raid sources. He's just a strong character in the deck. So this is a 4 cost. This character is not affected by BP reducing abilities, which is kind of good. And then during your turn, he gets 1,000. So he's a 5,000 swinger on your turn. And the active is yet another... Oh, sorry, the trigger is active, so I set another character up. So this one here and the other plus active is amazing because, where the hell am I looking at? The actives are really good because the whole goal of this deck is to swarm the board. So if you have a lot of cheap people in the front, you let a attack go through, they have more attacks left, but you hit one of these active triggers, then you're going to be protecting your life even further. So we're running 2 of these. However, these are the other Kenpachis we're running. Now these ones are pretty strong. 4, but 2 actions to do so. This character cannot be played or moved to the energy line, so obviously you cannot play it there. However, I don't know how this particular interaction works. Cannot be moved to the energy line. There are cards that your opponent can play which forces characters to move back. If this can't move back, I don't know if this cannot be chosen, or if it can be chosen, it becomes nullified and it fills those out, or what goes on. So if anyone knows in the comments how this interaction works, for example, if you have a full 4, if you have full 4 front line and your opponent has a full 4, then how does that interaction work? I am not entirely sure. But anyway, this character always has impact 1, and when played, choose up to 1 character with 2,000 or less on your opponent's field and KO it, or if there are 6 other 13 court guard squads, it's 4,000. So this thing can kill almost everything on the front line. Really amazing. However, once again, it has that really hefty cost of you have to have 6 others, while this is the 7th one or 8th one being played. So hard to set up, but it's a very powerful thing. And if you're able to get the board, that's pretty freaking good. All right, next up, it's Toshiro Hitsugaya. This is your raid source for the Toshiros, 4 costs. Okay, so when played, you choose up to 1 of your characters on the front line and switch it to resting. It will then remain resting until the end of their next attack phase. So pretty much it makes it so a slot is just completely nullified. They can't do anything, they can't block or anything, and they can't attack with it, which is pretty good. However, if 6 or more other 13 court guard squads affinities are on your field, which means once again, this one has to be the 7th or 8th one, choose up to 1 of their front lines, switch it, and all characters on the energy line, they go to rest mode. So if they want to move things up from the back line, they won't be able to attack with it, etc. So it's a pretty decent attack. So it's I don't know, man. I mean, obviously you want cards to destroy. Destroying cards is the best. Having it rested, it's a sort of good play if you're going to finish the game, because you're just stalling for 1 turn, right? Rather than completely destroying it and all that stuff. But if it is on the board and it is stalled, there is some good things about that, meaning your opponent can't use those slots, etc. So yeah, that's what Toshiro does. Now we have our 4 specials of the deck, Daiguren Hyorinmaru. So choose 1 character, 5,000 or less, and switch it to rested. It also becomes sleeping, it won't become active next time. However, if you have a Hitsugaya on the field, you KO a 5,000, which is pretty good. All right, so that's a 4 cost. Next up, we have our last cards of the deck. These are Yachiru Unohana. So this is your big card to allow you. This card's good, and it will allow you to use the abilities of the Kenpachi and this raid Toshiro. So let's talk about this. Okay, look at the top 4 cards. Grab 1 character that is a 13 court guard, and that is also 4 or less energy, and add it to your hand. You then place the rest to the bottom. But the interesting part is this one. You're going to be reducing the AP, which is an action point, of the next character with 4 or less you use from your hand in this turn by 1. Now, it doesn't specifically say it has to be a 14 court guard, so that's cool. But in this deck, you're most likely going to be using the 13 court guard squad. So this one, if you're able to get it out, but however, this one is 6 energy, so it's a little tough to get out because we only have 8 plus 2 energy cards in the deck. You have to have at least 1 and like 3 other plus 1 energies for this one to work. Once again, it's a little tough to get it out. Or even, I mean, you need 2 of those energies. However, if you're able to do so, you just get more stuff on the field. And yeah, I mean, it's not anything special because you summon it, but it's rested. If this one said it was active, that would be so crazy good, because for a 6 cost, he's not even that strong. However, the raid is, yeah, just raid with it. So that's the deck. And okay, let's be honest, I play with this deck a little bit, and I have to say this is one of the weaker sort of decks that I've played. It's not that the archetype is weak. Green is usually high ramping or flooding the board. This one is flooding the board. However, I just don't think there's enough cards to help you flood the board in general. The only thing we have in this first set is the Unohana, and because this one costs 6, it means you have to spend a little bit more in your deck to add cards that are mana generating, which is kind of hard to do because you want to balance your deck out with actual cards you want to use. And the only 2 cards that actually have to do with having cards on the field is going to be this one, which rests, and this one, which KOs, so this is really good. This deck just needs 1 or 2 more cards that either swarm the board, or an even earlier card that says, hey, if you have a certain amount of cards on the field, you get a buff. This one is not it, but the other Hitsugaya does. But honestly, what is this ability is what? Plus 500? That's like a little whatever. I think it would be good if they had a card that says permanently on the field in the back line. If you have, 7 or others, or 6 others, every one of your frontline characters gets plus 500. I think that would be a really good buff for the deck, something like that. But otherwise, yeah, this is just whatever. It's an okay deck, just, it's there. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.